All right, so I said you can skip 20, 21, and 22. You're not going to have anything like that on your test. Don't worry about this one. If you're curious, it is a rectangle. And 21 and 22, nothing with these grids. You don't have to do any coordinate geometry. So looking at number 23, first identify what it is you're asked to do. You need to find the measure of the angle identified. Okay, so in this case, we're looking for this angle. So we have to see what do we know and what do we have to work with. I see I have a four-sided figure. Do I know what kind of four-sided figure this is? No, I don't know, but I do know it's a four-sided figure. So it's a quadrilateral. And I just want the angle. So how many degrees are in a quadrilateral? Yeah, there's 360 degrees. So if in total there's 360, can I just say 360 and take away the ones that I know? So 360, subtract 54, subtract 115, subtract 73, and that leaves me with 115. All right, so I have, so angle N, the measure of angle N equals 115 degrees, which actually makes this a kite. But I didn't know that until I figured it out because the opposite angles on the short diagonal are congruent, but the other ones are not. I think that's a kite. Anyway, number 24. I can actually solve this the same way. Again, if I start with 360 because it's a quadrilateral, and I take away the 100 degrees, take away the 107 degrees, take away the 73 degrees, and it leaves me with 80. So the measure of angle W is 80 degrees. Is we're looking for this one. All right. On number 24, I also could have done same side supplementary. I could have said V and W together are going to be 180, and 180 minus 100 gives me 80. So that's another way of solving for it. I could have done it that way. Just like 107 and 73 together, that's 180. So there's multiple ways to solve some of these. I'm just showing you what looks like the most obvious way to me. All right, so then on number 25, find the missing length. All right, so I see I have trapezoids, or what appears to be trapezoids. It doesn't actually tell me that. So the mid segment equals 1/2 of B1 plus B2. Since I can see that the mid segment is what I'm looking for in number 25. The mid segment is equal to the average of the bases. So I'm going to call the top one B1, and I'll call the bottom one B2. It doesn't matter which one you call B1, B2. So, and I'll put my X, I'm going to call that X. So X equals 1/2 of B1 plus B2. All right, so x equals 1/2. B1 is 18, and B2 is 32. And I can type it in the calculator just like that. 1/2 parentheses 18 plus 32 parentheses, and it would give me that x is 25. And then take a second just to look at the problem and see if it makes sense. So if the middle piece is a middle length, it's not the shortest, it's not the longest. I have 18, 25, then 32. Yes, that makes sense. 25 is in the middle of 18 and 32. So just a quick check. Make sure it makes sense. Because sometimes you're not looking for the mid-segment. Like on number 26, the mid-segment is 18. And what I'm calling B1 is what I'm looking for. That's now X is B1, my base. And B2 is 22. So when I set it up this time, you want to make sure you have it all in the right spot. So 18 equals half of X plus 22. Because the mid-segment is the equation is for the mid-segment. So that has to be on the left. And it's 18. All right, so then to solve this, I want to get rid of 1/2. 1/2, that's like dividing by 2. So if I want to undo division, then I multiply. So I say times 2. 1/2 times 2 is 1, so it cancels out. If I do it on one side, I have to do it on the other side as well. So 18 times 2, that's 36. So 36 equals x plus 22. And then I subtract 22. So 14 equals x. And then again, do a quick check to make sure this makes sense. 14 is the small base, so it needs to be the smallest number. I have 14, 18, 22. Yep, that makes sense. So that's mid-segment of trapezoids. Sometimes it's called the median, but I'm pretty sure I always call it a mid-segment. All right, so find the measurement of the angle indicated for each trapezoid. So now the last set of problems should have told you it was trapezoid. This time it does. We have trapezoids. So you pull out your yellow paper, look for characteristics of trapezoids. So these aren't just trapezoids, but it looks like they're all isosceles trapezoids. All right, so if I have, the sides are the same, so that makes it isosceles. And isosceles trapezoids has some even more special characteristics. And that is that the base angles are congruent. So if the base angles are congruent, that means 110, angle T is the same as angle S. So if angle T is 110, so is angle S. And if angle R is X degrees, then angle U is also X degrees. And then one thing about the quadrilaterals is same side are congruent of the parallel, same side are supplementary. For a trapezoid, what that does is it splits it down the middle. And I could say that S plus R is going to be 180. So if I add angle S plus angle R, it's going to give me 180 degrees. Since S is 110, so I have 110 plus angle R, which is X, it's going to equal 180. So I subtract the 110. And x is 70 degrees. And x is angle R. So the measure of angle R is 70 degrees. All right, so on number 28, again, I see I have an isosceles trapezoid because the legs are marked to be congruent. Two lines, two lines. Again, it's isosceles. So again, the base angles are congruent. So if angle D is 95 degrees, then angle E is also 95 degrees. And that's it. Didn't even have to solve anything. I just needed to know the property. For isosceles trapezoids, base angles are congruent. Not all trapezoids, just isosceles. Okay, number 29. It's isosceles, but really that doesn't even matter for this problem because I'm looking at consecutive sides or same side, consecutive angles, angles on the same side supplementary. So that means they add up to 180 degrees. If I add these two together, so I could do 180 minus 39. So x equals 141 degrees. Kind of write that backwards. All right, last one for trapezoids. This one's like number 27. It's isosceles. And I see that base angles are congruent, so I know that angle D is congruent to angle A. So angle A is also x. And then B plus A is going to give me 180 degrees. So 180 minus 140 gives me 40. So x is 40, and that's what I'm asked for. All right, so then find the length of the diagonal indicated for each trapezoid. So now we're talking about diagonals of trapezoids. And these are isosceles trapezoids. So for isosceles trapezoids, diagonals are congruent. That's the property. So then we look to see what we have here. We have that CE is 4x minus 28 from C to E. And we have that DF is 2x minus 4. This one here. Since that's an isosceles trapezoid, I know these two things are congruent to each other. So I know that CE is equal to DF. And for CE, it is 4x minus 28. And DF is 2x minus 4. So this problem says to solve for CE. But to do that, I need to find out what x is. So I'm going to subtract 2x, get the x's together. So 2x minus 28 equals negative 4. So I'm trying to get x by itself. I'm going to add 28. Negative 4 plus 28 is 24. So 2x equals 24. Divided by 2, x equals 12. But this didn't say what is x. It says find CE. Make sure that you don't just solve for x and stop. Quite likely, that will be one of the multiple choice answers. But it's not the right answer because it didn't ask you for x. It says find CE. CE is 4x, or a blank, minus 28. And then take the x that I solved for, 12, and plug it in right there. So it's 4 times 12 minus 28. And if you type that in your calculator, it would tell you that CE is 20. Okay. One more of these. Let's see how this one is. I have the JL, that piece, and KM is this piece. Oh, this is the exact same kind of problem. It's an isosceles trapezoid, so diagonals are congruent. So JL is going to equal KM. And then I'm going to solve for JL. Or really, it doesn't matter which one I solve for since they're the same. They're congruent. I just have to solve for one. Don't just stop at x. So x plus 11 is equal to negative 5 plus 5x. I'm going to get the x's together, so subtract x. 11 equals negative 5 plus 4x. Add the 5. So 16 equals 4x divided by 4. And 4 equals x. But don't stop with x is 4 because it says to find JL. And JL equals x plus 11. So blank plus 11. And the blank is going to be filled in with the value of x, which we already decided was 4. So JL equals 15. And KM also equals 15. So the only thing that's not on this review that I noticed after the fact is kites. So look at the review and then maybe go over to the day on kites and check out the kites page for some examples on that, and then you should be ready for your test.